Okay, so the first thing whenever you pickle, you want to pick the right cucumbers. This is a good cucumber. It's small. This is the Gherkin variety that I'm growing this year. This is not a good cucumber. This one for this variety is too big. So save this for relishes, or if you want a fresh slicing cucumber. So these two we're not going to use. The rest of these look pretty good. Unless it's all you've got, you also don't want to use ones that are like this. Well, this one's probably okay, but you know, sometimes you get one that's got some kind of weird shape. It's hard to pack them down inside of the jars when they look like that. So the other thing you want to do, you want to wash your cucumbers and you want to remove the blossom end. That's the stem end. It's the end that you pick off of the stem. That's the blossom end, and you can see the blossom is still on it. That has enzymes that will cause the cucumbers to go soft. So you just want to shave the very tip of that off. And this one is almost too big, but I'm going to use it. It still has a little bit of the blossom on it. You want to get that blossom tip off. Just like that. So I'm going to do that for all these cucumbers, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so for our recipe, we are using the Ball Blue Book, Guide to Preserving, page 78, Dill Pickles. And we have our ingredients right here. We have our pickling spice. This is what I had left of my McCormick pickling spice. You're going to also use the Ball pickling spice. Let's see how that's different. So this is our McCormick pickling spice. That's what that looks like. It's 3 tablespoons. And then this is the Ball pickling spice. And it does look like the mixture is a little bit different. They both have cloves in them, although it looks like the Ball has more cloves than the McCormick. The McCormick has what looks like maybe pepper flecks, and has lots and lots of bay leaves. I don't know if you can see all that green. That's bay leaves. I don't see any bay leaves in the Ball. What I do, well, there's a couple. There's one right there and one right there. I do see a couple of dill seeds in the Ball pickling spice, and I don't believe that the McCormick has dill seeds. So you can pick which pickling spice you want to use. I'm using this first because it's the oldest. 3 tablespoons of that, 3/4 cup of sugar. This is not a sweet pickle. You have to have the sugar to balance the vinegar. If you do not add the sugar, it will be horrifically sour and completely inedible. So you have to have the sugar. I've got a quart of vinegar here, a quart of water. I'm using sea salt. You want to use salt without iodine in it. This one does not have iodine. A pickle crisp, a Ball pickle crisp. That's going to help keep your pickles crunchy. You can use a clove of garlic in each jar. I don't happen to have any in the kitchen, but I always have garlic powder in the pantry, so I'll probably do maybe a teaspoon of that. And then I went and grabbed these out of the garden. These are the flowers from dill, and you can really smell them. I wish I had smell-o-vision here, but I don't. And then here are some of the mature heads, which actually have some mature seeds on them, and some seeds that are about to be mature. So I'm going to kind of maybe put one of each in my jars. And then this recipe can do 8 pounds of cucumbers. I don't know that I have quite 8 pounds of cucumbers, but we're going to go ahead and make up the mixture exactly the way it says so that we get the pH and the acidity perfectly correct. And I went ahead and prepared 5 quart jars and then 1 pint jar just in case. We have added the 1 quart of water, 1 quart of vinegar, the spice bag, which had our 3 tablespoons of pickling spice, our 3/4 cups of sugar, and our 1/2 cup of salt. You're going to bring this to a boil, and then you're going to cut the heat down and simmer it for 15 minutes. You don't want this boiling and roaring because you don't want to burn off too much of your vinegar, because that's going to mess your acidity up. So once it starts boiling, make sure you cut the heat down to low. We've set our timer on simmer for 15 minutes, and so during that time we're going to go ahead and pack our cucumbers into our hot jars. And I have this stainless steel bowl here that's really nice because it has quart measurements on it. So it looks like I'll probably end up having about between 4 and 5 quarts of cucumbers to pack. Anytime that you are pickling or making cheese or soap, or really, to be honest, cooking in general, steer away from aluminum. You always want to use stainless steel utensils, stainless steel containers. These grommets here are aluminum, but I always make sure that my food or my liquid is below the level of the grommet so that it does not come in contact with my food. The aluminum is reactive, so you do not want to be, especially having any highly acidic foods, in an aluminum pan. And if you're not sure how to tell if it's aluminum or stainless steel, get a magnet. If the magnet sticks to it, it's stainless steel. If it does not, it's aluminum. So we have our first jar packed. All right, still a little bit warm. And inside of the jar we have a few of the mature seed heads. We also have one of the dill flowers. And some people get quite fancy with the placement of their dill flowers. I'm not going to be entering this into the county fair. I'm going to be eating it promptly. So I just shoved it in there in the side. And I actually think it looks quite pretty like that.
What I'm going to do, Ava, is I'm going to blooper.
So I actually just ended up with 3.5 quarts. I packed the cucumbers in there really good. You want to make sure you do that, because otherwise, once they've been canned, they will lose some of the air. Will come out from between the cells inside of the cucumbers and other vegetables, and they will shrink, and you'll end up with a jar that's half liquid and half vegetables, and it's really unattractive. You're going to get some of that anyway here, because you can see there's some void space there that I just wasn't able to make up for. We got most of the dill in here. We did have some dill left over. When you pick your dill flowers, there are probably going to be bugs on them. Don't wash them, because you're washing away the essence of the dill. But you do need to shake them out. And let's see if I can find my friend. I'll show you why you need to shake them out before you put them in the jars. So here's a little beetle. I'm not sure what kind of beetle he is, but he was probably enjoying the dill nectar as much as I'm going to enjoy it. Yeah, he's gone now. Alright, so the timer's about to go off. We've got 3 minutes, and this is just how I'm simmering it. See the water, the mixture's barely coming to the top, and it's not a full-blown boil, which you don't want, because you're going to be boiling off the vinegar, the acid. You do not want that. So just a low simmer, and as soon as that goes off, I will pour that liquid into the jars. Another option that I've done in the past that you can do that should not affect the acidity of your jars too much is I have actually put a teaspoon of pickling spice directly in the jar, because I find that it looks pretty and authentic and unique in your pickling jars. But this time we're using the spice sachet. Also, something different I'm using this time is this neat gadget. This is a chef alarm. I got it on Amazon. I will put the link in the box below. And it has an alarm, and the reason why I need that, this is just the one sheet excerpt from the USDA canning book. I will put a link to that. It is free. You do have to print it out yourself. You can download it as a PDF. If you just want to print the page that you need, which is what I did today, you can do that. And this is low temperature pasteurization method. This is what we're going to use, and this is going to give us very crisp pickles. Very crisp pickles. But the temperature range is very, very narrow, and it's difficult to maintain unless you're hovering over the pot. So the temperature range needs to be maintained at 180 to 185 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. So we have our alarm set here to go off between 180 and 185. I have it turned off right now. It actually has a timer on it too, so we'll see if I can figure out how to get that going also. And so we'll put our mixture in here along with some pickle crisp. We will put our hot lids and bands on, and we will put it in here and bring it up to 185, 180 degrees, somewhere in that range, for 30 minutes. And we should have nice crispy pickles. We ended up using almost all of our pickling liquid. You can see there's maybe 1/4 of an inch left in that pot. And this says yield about 7 pint or 3-quart jars. So we really must have packed our cucumbers in there if we were able to get 3.5 out of it. So, because 7 pints is the same thing as 3.5. So I think we did pretty good on our packing job. All right, right now I'm just wiping the rim with a vinegar-soaked paper towel or napkin, and then I have this handy thing. I already went through and checked. We want 1/2 inch headspace on all of them, and they're right there. They might be just a hair under or just a hair over, but I'm not a perfectionist. Otherwise, I'd never get anything done. So, but that's pretty darn close. So now we're going to put our hot lids on, and we're going to start the process. So the instructions say to place jars in a canner filled halfway with warm water, then add hot water, and warm water was 120 to 140, and we were at, before I added the warm water, we were at 140. So we were right at the top there, 120 to 140. Then add hot water to a level 1 inch above the jar. So I did that. I added hot water from the tap, and that brought it down to 135. Heat the water enough to maintain a 180 to 185 degree Fahrenheit water temperature for 30 minutes. Alright, so, and you can use, it recommends using a candy or jelly thermometer to be certain the water temperature is at least 180 during the entire 30 minutes. But I've got this handy dandy thing that I'm going to use, and hopefully it'll make my life easier. So I've cranked up the heat, and I'm going to run and check and see if my ice cream's ready that's been going on the back porch, but I'm going to be within earshot of this thing, so stay tuned. Here's the ice cream. Oh yeah, it's definitely ready. It's as ready as it's gonna get. So I'm gonna put it in a Tupperware and put it in the freezer to firm up. That's gonna be a delicious treat to have while I am watching those pickles. I have been watching this like a hawk, and it is at 184. I actually just turned off the burner altogether, and it's starting to go back down, so I'm going to turn it back up to low, and I'm just going to sit here for 30 minutes and watch this and make sure it stays between 180 and 185. 5 degrees is an incredibly narrow temperature range. That's why the title of this video is Advanced Canning Technique. This is an advanced canning technique. If it's your first time canning, this is probably, I'm not going to say not a good project, but this is going to be a much more difficult project to start with than a basic water bath canning or even pressure canning project, just because the temperature requirements are so stringent. Just wanted to show you what 181 degrees looks like. It's really not even boiling. It's like a low simmer. It's at 182 now. And I didn't want to fool with the timer on that doodad. So I just set the one on the stove. We've got about 15 minutes left. I've just been sitting right here on the stool, surfing the web and social media on my phone while I wait. There is the finished product. You see what I was talking about with the extra space at the bottom and the liquid. Sometimes after it cools down, those will sink back down, but you really need to pack your cucumbers in there as tight as you can get them. Now it's time for me to milk the goats, feed a bottle baby goat, and then I will start my Mother's Day weekend relaxing time one evening early. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. See you next time.